Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing great. You may recognize this spot. This is Little Mountain again. I hope you guys aren't getting sick of Little Mountain. The reason why I keep coming up to Little Mountain is, as I've said in past videos, it's just so close to home. And there's some really neat things up here to photograph, and I'd really like to explore it fully to get to know the area. It's just a great place to come at the drop of a hat kind of thing. And as you can see, today we have finally a bit of winter. We've only had one day of snow so far this year. This is the second day, and Little Mountain was the first area that I thought of because, again, it's close. Now, I didn't drive up the hill, even though I have a four-wheel drive truck. It's pretty dicey. I saw a couple of people go down and they didn't seem to have too much trouble, but I figured, well, I'll just park at the bottom and walk on up. So it's a little bit of a slog walking up here. The nice thing about this time of year, though, with snow is that there's nobody up here. And what I really wanted to do was just try to explore some of the compositions that I've taken before, except this time with snow. And the composition that I'm looking at right now is the one with the twisty Arbutus trees set in against the rocks here. I was hoping that it would snow a little bit harder to kind of mitigate some of the busyness of the scene, create a bit of a fog or an atmospheric kind of haze in the background, but that doesn't seem to be happening right now. But I think this might work. What I really love are the contrast between the reddish orange trees and the snow. They somewhat look out of place, and that's kind of what I like. When you look at a photograph and you look at something, you think, oh, that doesn't look quite right. The plants or the trees or whatever, they might be a desert plant, or in this case a temperate rainforest type plant. And for some reason, they just kind of look out of place. So I kind of like that contrast. And of course, with the snow, I think this might work. Now, unfortunately, to get to this location, there's only one trail. So I tried to tiptoe through the snow, but I didn't do a very good job. So I'm going to have to do a bit of cloning on the snow. But let me show you what I have. It's very similar to an image that I took a few weeks ago. And I'm going to take some variations of this because there's a few ideas that I have in my mind that might work. And I'll go over those compositions with you and the reasons why I'm composing the images that way. All right. So I decided to film this on the GFX 100. It's just easier to show you guys what I'm thinking here rather than try to show you the back of the camera. The format is a little bit different. This is 16 by 9. Whereas I'm actually shooting a 4x3, but this will kind of give you the idea. So as you can see my tracks in the background there, so I'll have to clone those out. But what I'm thinking here, I really wanted to show this whole tree here, and what I've done is I've placed it in between the gap of these two rocks. Now, if I'd move over to the left or to the right, then you'd lose the base of the tree. And I think that wouldn't look so great. The only thing that I really wanted to include, but it's hidden behind this tree, is this rock here. And for whatever reason, I don't like it cut off like that. I really like the bottom of the rock. And to do that, I'd have to move over to the right. But of course, if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to put this tree in this notch. So what I'll end up having to do is raise the camera so that I'm looking down on it a little bit more, and that way I'm able to get the whole tree in plus that rock there. very similar to the composition that I took last time I was here, and I will take some variations. What I really love about this scene is this tree especially, the rock, and this tree back here. It's unfortunate, but this Arbutus here, it would be great if it was just standing on its own, but it has a Douglas fir behind it, which kind of blends in with the tree. That's the only part that I don't like about this. There was a tree in the background here, but of course the limbs are so laden with snow that it's quite hidden, so you don't really see it. That's the only part that I'm a little bit worried about. It would be nice if there was a bit more haze, or if it was snowing hard, then that would kind of hide that busyness a little bit. The other thing about snow is that, the thing about snow is that it reflects any type of light that you put towards it. So on a day like today, it's not ideal because we have grey skies. So you pretty much just get grey blue snow, and there's no kind of shadows in the snow, very, very slight shadows, but it's quite flat looking. So I might have to do something in Photoshop to bring out those textures a little bit. I'm not sure. I have mixed feelings about the comp, and I don't know. I'll take a bunch of images and we'll try them out and see what we can do. I mean, that's the best we can do, and then I'll move on to something else. Perhaps I'll find something a bit different that I haven't photographed before.
Well, I gave it a go. I took a couple of compositions, and the results are okay. To be honest with you, I think I prefer the photographs that I took several weeks ago with the green moss and that little bit of fog. For whatever reason, the snow in this scene doesn't work that well, probably because it just looks too busy, especially in the background. The Arbutus trees are fine, and the composition I quite like, but I don't think the snow works. But it was a good try. Anyway, it wasn't a total loss. I ended up taking some more images, and if you stay tuned until the end of the video, you'll get to see what I came away with on this particular day. Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. If you're looking for a beautiful, professional-looking website, then why not head over to squarespace.com. For example, if you're setting up a gallery of images, all you have to do is drag and drop your selection over to the page. Once you've dragged your images over, it's very easy to caption, sort, and even edit those images. Interested? Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and if you like what you find, use the code AdamGibbs for 10% off your first purchase.
Should I photograph it? So these are the trees that I keep coming back to. They look absolutely beautiful right now, but the background, if I shoot down on them, there's not really enough fog in the background to give them that separation, and it's extremely busy right now. Now, maybe if I get down and shoot across, I might be able to get that pano that I took before. Let's give it a go. I love the hint of snow on them. It's really quite lovely. All right, I'll give it a go. All right, for this shot, I need something relatively wide, so I'll use the 32 to 64. I have a 23 millimeter in here, but it's often too wide. The 32 to 64 is a good focal length, a wider focal length, because I'm doing a pano. Incidentally, a lot of people have asked me about the Shimoda bags, This is the X series bag. This is the 70 litre, so it's the biggest bag that they make. And the reason why I have the 70 litre is that, of course, I have this medium format camera gear. So you can see I have the GFX 100, and then I have 4 GFX lenses or G lenses. They're very heavy. I know that the new 100S has come out and it's lighter than the old one, but to be honest with you, it's actually the lenses that weigh or have the weight. Plus I'm also carrying the XT4 with a couple of lenses, so you can see it fills the bag pretty quickly. And then I have enough space in the top here that I can put my jacket and gloves and some other bits and bobs in there. Now, I don't generally carry all of this gear on long hikes. It's just too much weight, but for something like this, it's perfect. Most of the time I'm working out of the car. I'm not hiking more than 1 or 2 kilometers. If I was hiking a long distance, I would probably either take the XT4 or the Nikon D850, which I absolutely love. I just haven't used it that much lately. I'm very lucky to be able to use a multiple array of formats and cameras. And I just pick and choose the ones that I want for the different situations. But for this kind of stuff, the medium format is excellent. I'm really happy with the GFX 100. And if you are thinking about getting something like this, then it's definitely a great camera for landscape photography. Right. Better just get set up, I guess, and see what I can come away with. It's not going to be anything different. I just love the conditions that we have right now. Okay, now one thing that I always do, and I've tried to make this a constant habit, is to try and find compositions without setting up your tripod, because as soon as you set up your tripod, then it more or less commits you to that position. And of course, if you just keep trying to adjust your tripod while you're trying to find a composition, then it just wastes a lot of time and effort, and you end up settling on something that maybe might not be quite what you want. So I generally put the lenses on, or the lens on that I think I'm going to need, and then I'll just keep moving around all over the place looking for the composition that I want. And once I've found something that I think will look really, really good, I'll just kind of make a mental note of where I'm sitting and how high the camera is, and then go from there. Set my tripod there, and then adjust it. The reason why I want to go low is because I want to try and get some of that mist in the background. If I shoot down on it, then I have the cliff edge, which is right now it's very bright, it's distracting. So I want to eliminate that and just get the Arbutus with the snow and some of the snowy trees in the background, ideally at the bottom half, and then it kind of fades off into more or less a mist. I think this might work. I don't know, it always looks good through the camera, but of course, as soon as you download it, you go, oh, why did I bother taking that? Right, going to set up right here, and then I'll take my shot. Well, that's one of the problems with photographing snow is you have to be careful that you don't track out the scene that you want to photograph. It's kind of what happened here. Looking back, I really love these Arbutus, and there's some manzanitas in there as well, kind of on the edge of the cliff there. I just love the shapes of them, but of course I've walked right through them. And there's also a manzanita down the bottom here. I love the shape of that. And I was trying to find a way that I could use that in the foreground and then have those trees in the background somehow, but it looks so off balance to me. So I think what I'm going to do is try and find something a little bit closer to that group of trees. I just got to figure out what it is that I really love about the scene, and then just kind of zero in on that and try to make everything around it work, because it is quite busy. But what I love is the contrast of the trees, the Arbutus trees, but also the snow on all of the leaves and the kind of the elbows of the branches. I really love that. Right, I'll just go and wander over there and see if I can find something, and then I'll go through my composition with you and what my thought process is. It's too bad about this, because this has a beautiful shape in the foreground, but I just couldn't make it work. It looks like the trees are too far over to the left, and also there's a conifer in the background. I think you could probably see that. It kind of disrupts the shape or the clean shape of those Arbutus in the foreground here. Right, let's go over there and see what we can find. All right, I think I found a really great composition, so I'll show you what I have in my camera here. Again, it's 16 by 9, so 4 by 3 doesn't quite fit in the video, but you'll kind of get the idea. So what we have here is, there was an Arbutus over to the right there with a really great shape, but I decided not to include that one. It was just getting too much. But I love the shape of these manzanitas here with the snow on them, and of course the Arbutus on the right side here. And what I've decided to do is put them somewhat over to the right center, because they're kind of leaning over to the left, so we want lots of room for them to lean into the frame. And then we have this one kind of rebel Arbutus in the background here that's decided to go the other way. And I just love those branches that sweep in and around that area up there as well. Now, you can't quite see this, but because this is 16 by 9, it's narrowed it down a bit. But I've also included this top section here. I might crop it out, I'm not sure yet, but because I quite like the 16 by 9 actually. Anyway, I really love the scene. I'll probably end up warming up the snow just a little bit. It's quite cool because we have that reflected grey sky, so it's kind of a bluey color. I don't mind a little bit of blue in my photographs, especially in the winter, because it kind of emphasizes the coolness of the scene. But in this case, I want the shadows to be quite open, and the snow to be as white as possible. Anyway, yeah, I'm quite happy with this one.
All right, after I'd taken that shot, I couldn't get that twisty manzanita out of my head, so I went back and gave it another shot, and rather than take a grand landscape with the manzanita in the foreground, I decided just to concentrate on the actual twisty branches of that shrub. And if you look carefully, you can see my footprints in the back there. Now, I had to focus stack this one. I just couldn't get enough depth, so I took this image here of the foreground in focus and this second image with the background in focus, and then I just combined the two images, and I quite like the effect. I love the twisty branch in the foreground. The only thing that bothers me a little bit is that white patch of snow in the upper right. It's a little bit blank, but I couldn't really find anything to fill it with, so I just left it as it was, and it's not a bad result. Incidentally, if you see any photos throughout any of my videos that you think you would like to own as a print, I have a selection of prints offered on my website at very reasonable prices. If you see a photograph that I don't have on my website that you would like to see for sale, then be sure to get in touch with me and I'll add it to my selection. All right, folks, thank you ever so much for watching this week's video. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy the video, and stay tuned for my next video where I have another snow day in a different location that was even more exciting than Little Mountain. All right, till next time, bye-bye.